From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Monday, January 17th. We've got cloudy skies with some snow showers off and on, just a little bit, maybe a quarter-inch accumulation or less in spots. Dusting in most areas with a high of 32 degrees. Breezy out there, so it feels pretty cold. And honors across the country for Martin Luther King Day are pouring in. In Indianapolis, Wheeler Mission is hosting a prayer walk downtown. It starts at 10:15 this morning on Delaware Street. The Madam Walker Legacy Center is hosting a virtual event. The 40th annual day of celebration for Dr. King takes place at noon. The city of Carmel will be celebrating King's impact with its 4th annual MLK Day commemoration. That's at the Tarkington Theater tonight at 6. And no celebration without legislation. That is the word from King's oldest son, Martin Luther King III, during a weekend rally. Civil rights leaders are vowing to keep the pressure on lawmakers to pass voting rights reform. Debate in the Senate over new reforms was pushed back to this week. The move comes after two key Democratic senators said they would not support getting rid of the filibuster to pass it. Over in the House, Representative James Clyburn says the voting rights bill will be tough to pass, but he's not giving up.
They may be on life support, but, John Lewis and others did not give up after the 64 Civil Rights Act. That's why we got the 65 Voting Rights Act. So I'm going to tell everybody, we're not giving up. We're going to fight, and we plan to win.
The House is taking up the legislation later this week. Also, in honor of MLK Day, there's free admission to the Cotter Prairie Museum. New activities and a community market will be happening. There'll be music, discussions that will focus on the 50s and 60s civil rights movement and the social justice issues of today. A visual artist to construct a mural in real time that showcases the idea of social justice through artistic expression will be underway. Spoken word poetry session and a reflection of civil rights speeches to inspire guests throughout the day. Live performances and a new social justice quilt project will be in the works to engage in the ideas and meanings of social justice symbols.
We're inviting all families to come to our Make Smith workshop here and to be able to look at making a social justice quilt. And that social justice quilt has many different symbols that they can learn about. They also can create their own symbols. And this quilt piece, they can be able to contribute to a larger artwork. And that artwork would be on display next year, as well as if we do have enough squares, we'll be able to put it up for January and all through February.
Versity Blood Center of Indiana will also be hosting a blood drive at Midwest Food Bank and hosting a food drive and accepting food donations throughout the day. Fisher's Health Department will be offering COVID vaccinations and flu shots. Center for African Studies and Culture at IUPUI, Indiana League of Women Voters, they'll be offering on-site voter registration. SUA International, Indiana Humanities and Racial Equity Community Network of Fishers will also be in attendance there. In downtown Indianapolis, the zoo, the State Museum, the Eiteljorg, and the Indiana Historical Society are all open, no charge today. In Muncie, Ball State's Multicultural Center kicks off its Unity Week 2022 today. It starts with an MLK celebration at Emmons Auditorium at 9:30 with a Unity March to follow. The center has events planned all week, including speakers, a volunteer fair, film series, and leadership conference. Federal and state health officials are now asking everyone to upgrade their masks. The State Department of Health is sharing a breakdown of mask types from no protection to most protection, with the most praise for high filtration masks, echoing the new guidance from the CDC. The agency recommends Americans wear the most protective mask they can find that fits well and specifically outlines N95 and KN95 as especially helpful. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy says the current case spike makes the guidance timely.
This is also why it's so important that we are surging resources to hospitals that are struggling. It's why it's so important that we all double down on precautions that we're taking.
Murthy is reminding people to get vaccinated and boosted. And despite the country surpassing 800,000 COVID cases in one day yesterday, Murthy is also warning that we have not hit the peak of the Omicron surge yet, but it could be coming soon.
The challenge is that the entire country is not moving at the same pace. The Omicron wave started later in other parts of the country, so we shouldn't expect a national peak in the next coming days. Next few weeks will be tough.
Murthy says many hospitals are feeling the strain of the surge, but mentions New York and other parts of the Northeast are seeing a plateau in cases. Defending Australian Open champion Novak Djokovic is back in his home country of Serbia this morning as the tournament gets underway in Australia. Australian authorities deported Djokovic from the country after a long back and forth over his vaccination status. Djokovic had argued that despite not being vaccinated, he should be allowed to stay and compete under a medical exemption after a coronavirus infection last month. Ultimately, 3 federal judges agreed with Australia's immigration minister to cancel Djokovic's visa, not only eliminating him from this year's tournament, but ruled he cannot return to the country for 3 years.
Our Prime Minister has actually also demonstrated very clearly how strong our border protection policies actually are and how determined we are as a government to uphold them.
In a statement, Djokovic said he was extremely disappointed with the court ruling and thanked fans for their support. As Djokovic arrived in Serbia Monday afternoon, his country showed unwavering support. The president went as far as saying the court hearing was a farce with a lot of lies. And today, the owner of a local gun shop fights for a bill that would make it easier to carry a gun. That bill, which is on its way to the state Senate, would also eliminate the requirement for anyone renewing their permit. News 8's Adam Pinsker explains how the new bill is bringing the gun control debate back into the spotlight.
House Bill 1077 would eliminate the requirement that anyone who wants to legally carry a handgun in Indiana apply for a permit or renew their permit if they already have one. The process usually requires getting fingerprinted and paying a fee. Owner of Beech Grove Firearms, Greg Burge, sees no reason why those who want to legally carry a gun should have to pay for a permit.
Tell me what other constitutional right we have to pay a fee to exercise. As I speak to you now, did I have to pay $75 to get the permission from the government to answer your questions?
House Bill 1077 passed the House last week and now moves to the Senate, where the same piece of legislation died during last year's session. The bill would only allow lawful carry for those 18 and up. Hoosiers who want to purchase a firearm must still complete a form with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. And the proposed bill would make for theft of a firearm from a level 6 felony to a level 5 felony, which carries a sentence of between 1 and 6 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000.
House Bill 1077 really did a grave disservice to the men and women in brown and blue who are already fighting the scourge of gun violence on our streets.
Representative Mitch Gore, who is also a Marion County Sheriff's deputy, is among those who oppose the bill. Indiana State Superintendent Doug Carter is also against the bill. He said during a committee meeting earlier this month, the current licensing system prevented 10,000 people from getting a firearms license that were ineligible because of felony convictions. State police are also worried the law would make it harder for law enforcement to know whether a person who is pulled over during a traffic stop is carrying a handgun.
They'll be less informed on traffic stops and at critical incidents, and I think we could have done a lot better.
Burge says the requirement to carry a concealed permit only burdens responsible gun owners, not irresponsible ones.
Do we really believe they are the ones that go down to the local police department to go, hey, I want to get my permit before I go rob the bank or shoot the neighbor?
If passed, Indiana would join 21 other states, including Kentucky, that allow permitless carry. Adam Pinsker, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
And this morning, check your flight before leaving for the airport. The winter storm slamming the East Coast is forcing cancellations and postponements. According to FlightAware, 8 flights into or out of Indianapolis are off, and 1 is delayed. Airlines canceled 2,000 flights nationwide Sunday, including 25 cancellations and 69 delays into or out of Indianapolis. And the storm is causing problems on the ground, too. Freezing rain, snow, and ice have knocked out power to many from Mississippi through Maine. Slick roads are also a major headache. In North Carolina, a semi slid off a highway bridge, hurting the driver. State troopers there had to handle more than 440 wrecks related to the road conditions.
This storm's a menace. As much as a foot of snow is expected to fall in the mountains and foothills. And in central North Carolina, freezing rain and sleet on top of some snow will fall.
The system also spun off a tornado in Fort Myers, Florida. Authorities say it destroyed 30 homes and damaged 108 more. And military flights are taking off to look at the damage from the massive eruption of an undersea volcano near Tonga. The blast was massive. It happened Saturday, and you might have seen them floating around online, but there are these surveillance pictures that show just how massive the problem is. Communication with the island nation has been largely cut off since the eruption Saturday. The few messages to reach the rest of the world so far describe a moonscape buried under ash. New Zealand is the nearest large country to Tonga and is scrambling to fly relief flights of water and other supplies. Missile launches in North Korea for the fourth time this month happened today. South Korea's military confirmed the North fired 2 missiles into the sea today. There was also a launch last week. South Korean officials are not saying whether today's weapon was ballistic or how far it flew. Early estimates from Japan say it traveled about 186 miles. A Texas congressman is giving his take on the growing tensions with Russia. Republican Michael McCall discussed what he thinks the Biden administration needs to do to handle a possible invasion in Ukraine.
The key here is deterrence. If Putin sees deterrence coming back from the United States and our NATO allies, he may second-guess his calculation to invade Ukraine.
And breaking news out of the UK, police say 2 teenagers are under arrest in connection to the hostage incident in Texas. They released a statement saying 2 were arrested last night and officials continue to assist U.S. authorities. Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker was one of the 4 people held hostage Saturday. In a post on his social media page, he credited the security training he and others had gone through for getting all of the hostages out safely, along with law enforcement and support. A member of the congregation described telling her mother, who survived the Holocaust, what was unfolding on live stream.
And going in to tell her what was happening was very difficult for me. And I saw her fear, flashes of memory, some tearfulness, and it was hard because, you know, one doesn't think that these things will happen in this day and age or in your town.
Authorities say the suspect was a British national named Malik Faisal Akram. He was shot and killed by authorities during the rescue. During the live stream, he could be heard demanding the release of Afia Siddiqui, a Pakistani neuroscientist suspected of having ties to al-Qaeda. She was convicted of trying to kill U.S. Army officers in Afghanistan. The FBI says there's no early indication that anyone else was involved. A Hall of Fame football career may be over. The Pittsburgh Steelers lost in the NFL playoffs last night to Kansas City. Many expect it to be the last game for Ben Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger had 2 touchdown passes and 215 yards. After the game, the quarterback faced the inevitable question about whether he is indeed done.
Shoot, we thought last week was going to be the end. You know, we didn't know what was going to happen, and got blessed to play another football game. And it didn't end the way we wanted it to. But it's a blessing to be able to play this game. I mean, and I try and tell those guys a lot that how lucky are we that we get to play football for a living.
The Steelers drafted Roethlisberger in 2004 out of Miami of Ohio. He's led the team to 2 Super Bowl titles. IndyCar takes the sports spotlight today, looking ahead to the upcoming season. The series is hosting Media Day. 6-time title winner Scott Dixon, 4-time Indy 500 victor Elio Castroneves, and defending IndyCar Series champ Alex Palou are all set to talk. Our sports team will be there. You can look for new information tonight on News 8 at 5. And finally today, celebrations honoring Betty White. This would have been her 100th birthday, so movie theaters across the country are paying tribute through a film about her life. Imagine Theaters in Noblesville will be showing a one-day-only documentary in White's honor. It's called Betty White, A Celebration, a birthday party of sorts for what would have been her 100th, and includes the final on-camera interview with Betty White just days before her death on New Year's Eve. Mitch Ross, the general manager of Imagine Theaters in Noblesville, joined us on Daybreak this morning to talk about the tribute.
I think the timing is really good. Obviously, it was going to be a birthday party at first, and now we have a remembrance. Mm-hmm. So I think expectations are really high.
More than a decade in the making, it will follow White's day-to-day life, highlighting her work and fervent advocacy for animals. It'll feature White as well as a star-studded cast of her friends, including Ryan Reynolds, Tina Fey, Robert Redford, Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman, and more. You'll experience Betty's funniest moments on The Golden Girls, hosting Saturday Night Live, Hot in Cleveland, The Proposal, The Career. The description reads from the movie, this is a special one-day-only event. The party awaits. The documentary will be playing here at the theater at 1, 4, and 7 o'clock today and tonight. Hannah Mordell was reporting on this story earlier today. She checked around, and it's also airing at a lot of local AMC and Regal theaters. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand for even more on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.